important thing. So as I explained, the Python Django is a MET pattern. So there is a model view templates. So there is a model which we are going to see now. So after that model, there is a view part. View part means whatever it will render to the view. So view rendering to the view means to the client browsers. So from in the browser we can able to see the web application, right? So that web content. So that web content also looks with some templates. Templates means it's a completely mixed up with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So that once the templates is loaded to your browser, so then we can able to see the proper view. So first we'll see the model. So before going to model, first we need to know how to connect the MySQL or any other database systems to Django.
So this method is like code first, DB second, right?
I didn't get you.
No, this method is like code first, DB second, like this format, right? So through code we are generating the.
Yes. For the tables, we usually write it in the class based. We do any query and all. If you want to create a table, we have to create the class first. So then we have to do the migration and migrate. Then the automatically it creates our structured tables in our SQL in the database.
Okay.
Everything it will do.
So is there any option like DB first and code second like that? First we create the table and then we can.
That reverse engineering also we can do that. What we can do, I think that way I have to check it. So even I have not done like that. So you are like if there is any existing database tables, so that you want to convert it to a model class, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that we will see later.
Because no, actually, why I'm asking is as of now, like whatever project I am doing now, I'm just first creating all the tables. Then only I'm coming for code part.
Yeah, here also we create the tables, but we don't create a tables by using MySQL. So when we have a very easy system, why should we have to create tables? So here if you want to create a table, for example, I will show you. So class, I just want to give a table name as a student, and we need to extend models.model. So and then so column name, ID by default it creates name models dot char field max length 50. So like that you just keep on creating the class structure. Also with you can define the one-to-one, many-to-many, and foreign key also. Foreign key one-to-one and many-to one-to-many also you can represent. So that is.
So primary key by default it will take as a ID.
Yes, it will take it as a one ID. It will generate automatically. So that ID we can get it, but in here that is not necessary to mention it also. So auto increment one ID will automatically generate for all the tables.
Okay.
Okay, this Django also it takes some few models. It creates some few models that is for the authentication and basic users. That if we require, we can use that model. Otherwise, we can create our own model and our own system also. If you use that, there is a lot of works you are not required to do the authentication and authorization and session management. Nothing no need to worry about all those things.
Okay.
Okay, so first we'll see how to connect the database. Okay, so first there is a file, there is a settings.py. It's recording. Okay. So in the settings.py, this is the main project. So this is the polls is the one app we have just created. Okay. So this settings in the settings.py we can able to see the this database connection configuration thing. Okay, this is the default configuration, so which we are making. So here we can make a production and staging, all those things. And when there is a production, it should use the production configuration. So like that also we can develop. So we'll see the default one. So this is by default, when we create a Django application, it gives the SQLite one. Okay, by default, automatically it creates the SQLite database and everything. It will even we can use it by using the SQLite 3. Even already we have tested. We created the super admin and that user we can able to see, and we can create the one more user. So those kind of things we have already checked it. Okay, now let's try to connect this to MySQL. So in the MySQL, I just want to see Django, how Django will create the users and all. So for that MySQL, I'm just opening my workbench. So first we'll see the what and all the configurations will come in this settings.py. So that I will show you. Is not record actually. So this is the configuration file for the MySQL. So we'll see the Django documentation itself. So this is the Django documentation. So Django officially supports the following database: PostgreSQL, MariaDB, MySQL, Oracle, SQLite. So these are all the things it supports. So for to connect all these, so these are the configuration we have to add. So this is for the PostgreSQL. So let's check for the MySQL. So first we need to create the database in MySQL. So then we have to set that MySQL database file also. Here they are setting as a options. In that options, they are setting this configuration file. So which will configuration file which will having the database name, user, password, and everything. So but initially we just store directly. This is the MySQL workbench. So if you don't have, you have to run the commands in the MySQL terminal. So these are all the configuration we have to set it up. So we have to mention the engine, that is the backend MySQL, and we need to mention the database name and username and password. So password, it is just a password in my local database. So that local database host is the 127.0.0.1. So you all of you know this IP address is the local host. So it means that so it points to the local network only. So port is the 3306. As usual, MySQL default port is 3306. So just I will give my database name. Okay, some test database we have created long back. I just give the test as a database name. So now the connection is completed. So here just there is a student model which we have just created. So first without this, we'll execute and we'll see whether what and all the Django models will create. So first let's run the project. So to run the project, we need to run the command python manage.py run server. Okay, here we get that. Did you install the MySQL client? So it will require the MySQL client library to execute the to use the MySQL. So for that we have to install pip install. Okay, so the application is loading. So as there is no table, so that's why it is saying test.auth user does not exist. So it means that we just connected the database to this one. So it is to this application, but there is no tables in the test database. So what we have to do for that to create the tables? Anybody can answer for this? So we need to do the migrations. So
Migration.
yeah, we need to do the migrations and migrate. So Python .py make migrations. Okay, no changes detected. It is giving some system error. This thing you just leave it. So no changes detected. So it means that there is no any database has been created in the model class file. So it is already in the initially only we did the migration. So this is the migration file. No, not this, the whole one. Okay, it creates in the internally. So we'll see that. First we'll execute the migrate. So there is no changes in the model.py. There is we are not created any database. So that's why there is no changes. So Python managed.py and migrate. So make migration is just to convert this model class to script file. So when you run the make migration, so it converts all the model class files into a script, executable script. When you run this Python manage.py migrate, so it execute all the converted script into that SQL scripts. It will run when you just run the command manage.py migrate. So it is showing applying the concatenation. It means that so it is creating all the database which is required for the Django, for the sessions, for the auth, for the admin. So after that, there is no any error it is showing. So everything it is displaying as a okay. So then we'll see our tables. So we'll refresh this. So we can able to see the tables now. So these are all the tables which has been by default it will create when you just create a Django project. So these are all the default things will come. So auth user group. So these are all the things will be there. So this is the default user. So whatever the use, if we use the Django authentication and authorization and everything, so the user will be creating this table. So from this user ID, we can create another table for our business purpose, our business logic purpose. For example, if you want a student table, we create a separate student table. So, but when he is registering as a user, we just do his registration in the user. So once his registration is completed, then we will whatever the data he enters student information, we can store it in a separate student table. Okay, that one also we'll see now. So to create a database, so we need to mention this class name. A class we need to represent it in the class because of this is the ORM based object relationship modeling. So here, whatever the class name you give, that will be the table name, and we have to extend this model. So model is another class, inbuilt class. So that model class we need to extend. So after that extending, so we can create the columns. So just I will create the two columns, name and date of birth. So as usual, in the MySQL or in any database, what are the fields you will create? So in the same way, we can create all the all types of data, all the type of data types. So integer field, floating field, numbers, decimal numbers. Character field means it's like a varchar. So if you want to represent a default value also, we can mention it, default value. So if we are not inserting this value, date of birth, so by default, it will insert the default value. So for everywhere, we can use the default. By using the comma separator, we can use the default. So now, first, once you make the changes in the models, first you have to execute the make migration command. Telling no changes. Okay, in the URLs, maybe some issue is there. So what we have done, so we have created the project and we have created the sub app. So once we have created the app module, this is just like a module. Once I said, right? So after created, so we need to mention that module name. So otherwise, when we are creating a migrations or whatever we want to do with this app for this project, it will not recognize it. So now let's run the migration. So now you can able to see. So after you mention this uh, app module name into the installed apps in the same settings.py, if you create a one more app module, so you need to mention here that app name, that sub app name. Okay. So after that, I am just running the command python manage.py make migrations. So once I run this manage.py make migrations, so there is a migration for file is been created 0001.1 underscore initial.py. So if you open that file, so this is the migrations file. So this is generated the migration file to run a to keep the version of that whatever we make the changes in the database. It will just each time it creates a new migration files. So that is also with along with the date and time when we have created the migration file. So it means that in the first version, I have just created the models in that student table with two columns, name and date of birth. So also with these values. So this is the migration script file. So it will create these many columns, ID, name, and date of birth. So and table name as a student. So now it is not created in the database. If you see that, so there is no tables student. So after you did the migration, after you completed the make migration, so you have to run the migrate. So once you run that migrate, so this file 0001 initial whatever it is generated migration file, so that file will be applied. So now we can able to see that table. So there is a Pole student is created. So Poles is the app name, sub app name. So that app name will also append for that table. So because if we are creating a more than 2 to 3 modules, so there will be a we can easily identify the tables with that app names. So Poles underscore student. So in that, whatever the columns we have created, we can able to see name and date of birth. So ID we have not created. Automatically it is created with the auto increment. So it is the primary key of this table. So we no need to create any primary key of the table. So it automatically creates the primary key. I think everyone aware of that primary key and foreign key and all. So if you are not much aware of that, you just go through that once, primary key and foreign key and one to many also, many to many. So there is a normal forms in the database, first normal form, second normal form, third normal form. So like that up to fourth or fifth is the important. So when we are creating the database structure. So like this, we have to create the models in the Python Django. So when we want to create a date timestamp, so when we make an auto now true, so whenever the data is going to insert for the student table, automatically it inserts the date and time. So once you make the changes in the column, so you need to run the make migration to create this column in the MySQL. So let's run the make migration. So now there is a one more migration file has been created. So if you open this, so this is the second migration file. So whatever the new changes has been done, so it has been storing as a separate migration file. So after that we need to run the migrate. So then migrations will be applied. So then if we see the changes, so the date time stamp will be created. So I'm just column name as mentioned as a time. So that's why it is showing just a time. Any doubts in the models?
No, I'm clear.
No, sir.
Okay, this is actually the standard way of doing the make migration and migrate and everything. So because why means when you are making in when the application is very big and it is already developed, so you should not touch the database like this and to modify something. Okay, so through the application only, when you make the changes in the column, so you just need to run the command make migrate and make migration. So then it will automatically, system will generate the proper column which we have created. So because what happens usually, now just I created the time. Okay. In the programmatically, I have I have created like this. It means that in the script wise time column name, I want that. So I have implemented the code. Okay, when I am going to create the same thing in the production, so I just might do the mistake. For example, any time format or any column name mistake, anything I can make the mistake because I am a human. Okay, so that time, so when we run the application in the production itself, we get lot of errors. So if we properly don't do, even usually human do the mistakes. So that's why when we use the make migration and migrate, so it properly keep track of all the database changes. Also, when we do for the productional changes also, we just need to run the make migration and migrate. It will apply all the proper migrations. So then no need to worry about the database column changes and anything. So we need to just work on so this completely in the application development time, we don't write any queries like SQL scripts and all. So it's everything completely on the object based. So that you can able to see. So it is very easy to use. Also it will be very advanced level. So nowadays which we go to any framework, so it is there. Even in Java it is a hibernates is there, if you know aware of the hibernates. So there also they use the same ORM model. Okay, the same thing. Tomorrow you just practice. You just try to connect your MySQL database to your uh, project, and you just create a one sample model like this. One model which I have created. Sorry, in this project. So this model, and you just do the make migration and migrate, and you just see the differences. And if you find any difficulty, or if you are not able to if you get any doubts, or if you are not able to do this task, you just let me know. We'll see that tomorrow. Any doubts?